Alright, let's be real for a second. If you've played a Soulsborne game, you know FromSoftware doesn't just make levels, they make trials by fire. Areas designed not just to test your skill, but to break your spirit. You're walking in all confident with your shiny armor and upgraded weapon, and suddenly you're poisoned, cursed, on fire, and somehow also falling off a cliff at the same time. It's like FromSoftware is sitting in the developer office asking, okay, but what if the player suffered even more? Today we're taking a deep dive into the hardest areas in every Souls game. From Demon's Souls to Elden Ring, these are the zones that made even veteran players throw down their controllers, turn off the console, and whisper, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And don't worry, I'll be giving you all the juicy details. Some horror stories and why exactly these areas live rent-free in our collective trauma. Let's jump in. Starting off with the granddaddy, Demon's Souls, and listen, this was FromSoftware's first attempt at making us hate our lives with poison swamps, and they nailed it right out of the gate with the Valley of Defilement. You're balancing on these sketchy wooden planks where every step feels like a death sentence. One wrong move, boom, you're falling into the abyss. And even if you do manage to stay upright, the enemies are waiting. They're not hard individually, but in groups, in the dark, on tiny walkways. Suddenly every fight feels like a boss battle. And when you finally get to this swamp at the bottom, that's when FromSoft really says, oh, you thought it couldn't get worse, buddy? Welcome to permanent poison. You're slogging through waist-deep filth, slowed down, constantly poisoned, while being pelted with arrows and chased by giant trolls. The area doesn't test your combat skills so much as your patience. How long can you put up with the poison ticking down your health while enemies chunk away what's left? This is the prototype for what we'll see again and again. Swamps, poison, frustration, and it sets the tone perfectly for the suffering to come. Yet, the Valley of Defilement isn't just a swamp. It's where society literally threw away its unwanted. People with disease, poverty, deformities, all banished here to rot in filth. That's why the whole place feels cursed. It's not just dirt and poison, it's centuries of despair piled up. Those enemies crawling out of the muck? They're not random monsters, they're people who were abandoned until they mutated into something inhumane. And then you've got Maiden Astrara waiting at the end. This tragic figure who came here to bring solace to the suffering. Instead of judging her, the game forces you to kill her while she begs for mercy. It's brutal. The gameplay is frustrating enough, but the lore makes it hit even harder. You're literally fighting through the trash heap of a broken world. And the saddest part? It feels intentional. But as you leave the Valley of Defilement, the stench of rot lingers on your armor. The echoes of forgotten souls follow you, whispering that misery is eternal. And yet, the world does not pause. Another kingdom awaits, and with it, another trial. A city, abandoned to its own decay. Dark Souls Blighttown. Yeah, no, I just make it a little bit more dramatic, but yes, Dark Souls. And really, was there ever any doubt? Blighttown is infamous. It's not just the hardest area in Dark Souls, it's a cultural phenomenon. Ask any Souls veteran about Blighttown and watch 1,000-yard stare set in. So what makes it so bad? Well, first off, the original console version had frame drops so bad it felt like you were playing in slow motion. You weren't just fighting enemies, you were fighting your console. Every dodge, every swing of your sword felt like rolling dice in slow motion. But the real terror here are those toxic dart snipers. These guys don't just poison you, they give you toxic, which deletes your health bar faster than you can even chug Estus. And the best part? They're all hidden. You're just walking along and suddenly your health evaporates. Oh, you didn't bring purple moss? Too bad. And then when you finally make it down the scaffolding, you reach the swamp. Poison swamp, of course. You're trudging through sludge, slow to a crawl, while toxic insects and ogres gang up on you. It's survival of the fittest. And spoiler alert, you're not the fittest. Blighttown is the moment Dark Souls says, you thought you were good at this game? Prove it. And honestly, a lot of people just didn't. Blighttown isn't just there to poison you though. It's the underside of Lordran's society. The city above thrives while the lower classes get shoved into a swamp of rot and disease. It's basically Dark Souls saying, yeah, your civilization runs on the suffering of these people. And the toxic snipers? They're literally guarding the swamps as if to say, stay in your place. Plus, at the very bottom, you will find the daughter of Chaos. She's sick and corrupted by the Chaos Flame, but is still trying to protect her people. Suddenly, Blighttown isn't just some miserable swamp, it's the cursed domain of a fallen god and her suffering followers. So yeah, while you're cursing the frame rate and screaming about poison, the lore quietly makes it even worse. You're not just fighting enemies, you're trudging through the rotting heart of Lordran's broken system. You emerge from the shadowed depths of Blighttown, bloodied but unbroken. The memory of toxic darts and rickety ladders clings to your mind. Ahead, the horizon opens to waters that gleam deceptively calm, yet conceal deadly sorcery. The Shrine of Amana awaits, where devotion itself has become a weapon. Dark Souls 2 gets a lot of heat for being the odd one out, but when it comes to brutal areas, it definitely holds its own. Enter the Shrine of Amana. This place looks beautiful at the first glance. Calm waters, soft lighting, kind of peaceful. But then the sorceresses start sniping you from across the map. Their magic tracks you like heat-seeking missiles, and the worst part? You can barely see them until it's too late. So now, you're rolling, panicking, trying to dodge spells, while also remembering, if I step too far into the water, I drown instantly. Fantastic. And just to rub salt in the wound, the enemies love to gang up on you. You've got archers, spellcasters, and melee enemies all mixing together in ways that feel, let's be honest, kind of sadistic. The Shrine of Amana isn't hard because of mechanics, it's hard because it feels designed to punish you for existing. You walk forward, you get sniped, you dodge left, you drown, you dodge right, you get ganged. It's the perfect storm of no fun allowed. Here's a twisted part about Shrine of Amana though. It's not just a random death swamp. It used to be a holy ground. This was once a place where people prayed for the one they lost to return. But when King Vendrick and Eladia started experimenting with souls, it warped the land itself. The priestesses you see casting those homing spells, they're not evil. They're literally still singing prayers to comfort the dead. The problem is, the prayers are now weaponized against you. So while you're dodging magic missiles and drowning in knee-deep water, the lore reminds you this used to be sacred. It was a place of hope, and now it's corrupted into pure suffering. Dark Souls 2 takes beauty, flips it upside down, and says, good luck surviving in a paradise gone wrong. With each step, your spirit grows weary. Yet the fight is far from over. The shrine sorcery fades behind you, replaced by a poisoned marsh where times and decay hold sway. Faran Keep, the land of the fallen Abyss Watchers, stretches ahead, testing every ounce of endurance you possess. And now Dark Souls 3, which decided to keep the swamp tradition alive from Faran Keep. This area is a straight up endurance test. The ground, poison, the enemies aggressive, your sanity gone. You've got those wolf packs that love to ambush you, those creepy groove warriors with giant clubs, and about a billion slugs that just never stop coming. And while all that's happening, you're slowly being poisoned the entire time. It's like trying to run a marathon while somebody pelts you with rocks. On top of that, the game tells you, hey, extinguish these 3 flames to progress. Cool, thanks. Except that means wandering even deeper into the poison swamp, searching for giant torches while everything in existence tries to murder you. It's not just a level, it's a war of attrition. Your stus, your poison resistance, your willpower, they all get drained. Faran Keep isn't as glitchy as Blighttown, but it carries the same spirit. Welcome to the swamp. Hope you packed your muss. On the surface, Farron Keep looks like just another swamp with poison and wolves, but the lore here is tied directly to the Abyss Watchers. The Abyss Watchers soar to fight against the Abyss forever. But guess where the Abyss first crept out? Right here. This swamp is basically the scar left behind by endless wars with the Abyss, and it's crawling with corruption. Even the enemies reflect it. The Gru are basically humans twisted by the Abyss, mindless guardians left behind to roam in poison. So when you're slugging through sludge, extinguishing flames and dealing with constant poison, you're walking through the graveyard of a doomed cause. Farron Keep isn't just a swamp, it's the decayed battlefield of knights who gave everything and is still lost. The swamp gives way to the cold whisper of dreams gone awry. The marsh fades into a world not of man, but of ambition and madness, where the very stars seem hostile. You have crossed into the nightmare of Mensis, where every shadow hides the consequences of hubris and forbidden knowledge. I hope I'm not corny right now. Bloodborne is already one of the most aggressive, relentless games in the series, so when it wants to turn up the heat, it really does. And nothing screams pure nightmare fuel more than the nightmare of Mensis. The second you enter, your frenzy meter starts filling up because of some cosmic horror staring at you from the distance. Frenzy is like poison on steroids. Your health just explodes if the bar fills. So now, you're sprinting from rock to rock, desperate to stay out of line of sight, while your character is bleeding from the eyes. And the enemies? Oh man. You've got beastly hunters, giant rock throwing monsters and spiders that descend from the ceiling to ruin your day. And then there is the giant brain creature deep underground. An enemy so grotesque, it feels like FromSoftware is actively trolling you. This area doesn't just test your combat skill, it tests your mental stamina. Between the status effects, the horror imagery, and the constant ambushes, Nightmare of Mensis earns its name in every possible way. The Nightmare of Mensis is what happens when scholars look too far into cosmic horror. The School of Mensis tried to commune with the Great Ones, but instead of enlightenment, they got madness and frenzy. The giant brain causing your frenzy? It's literally the failed experiment of the scholars. An eldritch horror left behind. Its gaze driving everything insane. The spiders, the grotesque hunters, even Mikolaj himself, they're all trapped in this nightmare they created. The lore is simple. Mensis wanted knowledge behind humanity and the result was eternal madness. So while you're sprinting from cover to cover, bleeding out from frenzy, the game's basically screaming at you, this is what happens when you chase forbidden knowledge. And it's terrifying. You leave the nightmare behind, though it echoes cling to your mind. There is no respite. The world moves relentlessly forward. Across oceans and mountains, a land once sacred now festers with corruption, the Ashina depths of fate. A domain where poison, terror, and history itself rise against you. Moving into Sekiro, which is already brutally difficult even in normal areas, the Ashina depths crank things up to 11. This zone throws everything at you. Poison, swamps, ghosts, terrifying mini-bosses, and some of the creepiest enemy designs in the game. You're constantly poisoned, constantly ambushed, and constantly on edge. And then you stumble into a headless fight. These mini-bosses inflict terror, a status effect that straight up kills you if the bar fails. Combined that with a slowed movement in the swamp, and it's like fighting underwater against a nightmare. Sekiro is all about precision and aggression, but the Ashina Depths flips that on its head. Suddenly you're forced to play cautiously, managing resources, chugging divine confetti, and praying you don't get terror logged. It's brutal, it's terrifying, and it's one of the few areas where even skilled Sekiro players feel helpless. The Ashina Depths feel different from the rest of Sekiro for a reason. They're tied to the roots of the land, where spirits, corruption, and forgotten gods dwell. The Headless, they're literally warriors cursed with eternal undeath, their souls unable to pass on. The poison everywhere, it's a land itself rotting from the centuries of misuse and corruption. And then you've got the Guardian Ape's second fight. The guy returns even after death, animated by the centipede. The lore ties directly into the gameplay. Immortality here isn't a blessing, it's a curse. So the Ashina depths are more than just difficult, they're a spiritual hell, a reflection of what happens when nature, death and corruption gets tangled together. Surviving Ashina depths leaves scars that no estes or confetti can heal. Yet even here, the world stretches farther, wider and crueler. A crimson sky signals a land swallowed by rot and devastation. Welcome to Caelid, where history, divine wrath and scarlet rot converge in a theater of unending suffering. Let's be real, the moment you step into Caelid, you know you've entered hell. The sky is blood red, the music shifts, and suddenly you're knee deep in scarlet rot, the upgraded version of poison that eats your health like candy. The wildlife here is ridiculous. Dogs the size of houses that can two-shot you, birds that dive bomb you with hitboxes so unfair it feels like a prank. Even the plant life wants you dead. What do you even want? And of course, in the middle of it, the swamp of Ionia, where scarlet rot is everywhere. You're slowed, you're rotting, and enemies like Clean Rot Knights are just waiting to finish the job. Caelid is the ultimate, you shouldn't be here yet soon. Even late game it's punishing. It's not hard, it's demoralizing. It feels like an entire region designed to remind you you're not the main character here. Caelid might be the most cursed area in any FromSoft game, and the lore explains why. This land was once fertile and thriving until General Redon fought Millennia and she unleashed the Scarlet Rot. That rot didn't just poison the land, it rewrote it. Whole forests, cities and wildlife twisted into monstrous, diseased version of themselves. The dogs and birds, they're mutated beyond recognition. The soldiers rotting from the inside out. And in the middle of it, the swamp of Ionia, where Millennia's flower bloomed and spread her curse across the continent. You're not just fighting a scarlet rot, you're walking through ground zero of an apocalyptic plague. Caelid isn't just hard because of its enemies, it's hard because the entire area is lore heavy, proof that one demigod's power destroyed an entire region forever. It's a wasteland with history baked into every grotesque detail. So there you have it, the hardest areas in every Souls game. From poison swamps to frame rate, nightmares to cosmic horror to scarlet rot wastelands, FromSoftware has proven again and again that they are masters of suffering. But here's the thing, as much as we hate these areas, we also love them. They're the moments we remember most, the stories we share, the challenges that makes finally reaching that next bonfire feel like the greatest victory in gaming. Now I want to hear from you. What area broke your spirit? Was it Tomb of the Giants in Dark Souls? Maybe Sekiro's Fountain Head Palace? Or Elden Ring's Halig Tree? Drop your personal nightmare in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip through pain and suffering, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And as always, don't you dare go hollow.